Excellent. We have a very special guest today. His name is Dr. Donald. I didn't know you were a doctor. Dr. Donald Moletsi, and he's the CIMA Director for Southern Africa. Welcome, Donald. We are honored to have you with us today.
Hi, Nikki. Thank you. And I'm very happy to be here and spend some time with one of our long-standing tuition providers and the students. And as you know, I joined CIMA as the director for Southern Africa.
Donald, you recently told me that CIMA is an incredibly popular qualification in South Africa and the leader on the continent. From your perspective, why has CIMA become such a popular choice in the world of finance and business?
Nikki, there are a lot of reasons, but I think it comes down to we could all agree that the world is facing an increasing number of risks and that decision-making is becoming more and more complex. One cannot make good decisions without good information. And I don't mean just financial information. You need both financial and non-financial information like social, environmental, and economic data, because the better the information, the better your decision-making. And while other financial roles might busy themselves with giving you financial information, with a CGMA, not only are you able to help with decision-making, but it also allows you to proactively participate and guide management in implementing decisions. And that's the benefit to the organizations. And the students also get to enjoy the benefit of the CGMA designation, because with it, you can treat the whole world as your job market.
Okay, that's well put. You know, the one question that students always ask the VP or the director of the subcontinent is, what is CIMA doing to promote the designation in my country? How would you respond to that?
Well, a lot is being done. And I am very excited about the year 2023. We just come out of a 3-day strategic planning session, which speaks to your point. We have a lot of short-term, medium, and long-term plans on the cards that will shift or definitely shift the needle in 2023 for all CIMA students and our members.
Okay, that's interesting. Thanks. I'm so happy and honored that you've joined us today. I think I want to kick off with a poll to see who we have in the audience. So on the screen, you should see a couple of questions that help us see who you are so that we know where to pitch the presentation. You can say, I've just started my journey. I haven't registered with CIMA yet. I have registered with CIMA and now I'm just waiting for my exemptions. Or I'm currently at certificate level, ops level, man level, strat level, or I'm hoping to start at an advanced entry point. Okay, that's, it's coming in, but I can clearly see already that the majority is I've just started, I've not registered with CIMA yet, which is great news. I think you constitute the early birds. So you're already preparing for next year, and there's a fair amount on certificate level, then some hoping for advanced entry point. So I'm going to end the poll, and with any luck, it will then show you what the results are. Yeah? Okay, great. So, oh no, let me just close this. Okay, so that was our poll. So now that we're busy with the poll, that just reminds me of a poll we did recently with our student community, and we wanted to know what's important to our students. The top things they're looking out for when they're choosing a college, and the results, it would be interesting to know if you can guess, but we don't have time for that. But the results came back as the top thing that students look for in a college is student support. Then the next thing that's important to them is accreditation, Then it's results. They look for a college with a good pass rate. And then the quality of the material and tuition is actually in 4th place. But the top one is student support. Does this resonate with you, Pilisa? Are you surprised to see what's important to our community?
No, Nikki, I'm not surprised at all. When a student chooses to sign up with a college, they do so specifically because they want someone to help them properly. Often students feel they can do it on their own and save more money. A lot of these students in my class feel this way, but they struggle to pass. They found that partnering with experts help them to cut down on their study time. And with their support, they have someone who actively helps them to stay on track and give them remedial support when they struggle.
And the accreditation is also a big concern in South Africa due to the many fly-by-night colleges or colleges that struggle and then they close down. And you definitely don't want to sign up with a college who's going to close down and then run away with your money.
And we know the one thing that students really care about, Nikki, is passing the exams. Yeah,
it's true. Hey, I thought that was going to come up in the #1 spot, but students really, sometimes think they don't care if, you know, what the premises look like or anything. I just want to go where I can get a first-time pass. Did you know we're the only college who consistently publishes our pass rate? If it's good news or bad news, we share our results openly. It took us 8 years to get to the point where we have a consistent, remarkable pass rate, and we're very proud of it. So you can promote a pass rate. Oh, I've got 100% for this class and 97% for that class. But if it's not for all your classes and consistently, then you are not really publishing all your pass rates. We stand and fall by our ability to get students to pass first time. And for us, it's a partnership. And when you decide to partner with someone, you must know who they are. If it's in life or a partnership or a marriage or with your studies, you must know what they stand for. And you're partnering really with us on this epic journey. So it's important to know who we are and what we value as an organization, because here at IBTC, Lucky can tell you he's new and he can already see here we live our values. They're not wall values, they are living values. So we value relationships internally and with our students and our community. So for us, we say it's personal. We really care. You are someone to us. And we love results. We love writing a number on the board and then chasing it. And the #1 number we track in this business is pass rates, and we look at it every week. Our other value is remarkable service, and we want to blow your hair back. And we've got exciting plans for 2023 to just step it up a notch. And then our 4th value is growth. And we ask everybody at IBTC and all our students, how are you growing? How have you grown me today? How have I grown you today? So we want everybody to grow and learn, and that includes for you to pass your exam. And ultimately, values are very important to us because it drives all our decision making, and we believe in a shared value. There must be something in it for you and something in it for us. There can't just be something in it for us. So getting back to that pass rate, how is it that we get such a remarkable pass rate? Well, it took us long enough, and it's now solidly embedded or implemented in the organization. There are 2 things that we do differently. The one is our BPP pass rate. The one is our BPP partnership. So we have a partnership with a global organization in the UK that has been training CIMA students for a very long time, and they've got a remarkable pass rate, and we found them and partnered with them. Through that partnership, it has enabled us to buy in world-class tuition. It's global, it's at a global standard. And we feel when you study a global qualification, you need access to global material and global expertise. So that partnership is really what differentiates us in the market. And then the other thing that we do differently is what we call our remarkable service. And remarkable service isn't just how amazing it is when you phone us or we sort out your account or you want to know how quickly your books come. It is whenever you need us, we are there, and it's reactive support and it is proactive support. We have a process called handholding, where we say, once you've signed up with us, we need to walk the road with you up to your pass. So we have hand-holding staff who make sure you stay on track, contact you regularly, see where you are struggling, give you remedial advice or remedial tuition.
Nikki, I think I should share the slide with you.
Yeah.
We know that CIMA recommends Kaplan material, but we went against the grain and we're exclusively using BPP material. And that's because we simply get better pass rates with BPP, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So what we're going to do now is we're going to compare the global CIMA pass rates per subject against the pass rates achieved by all students who use BPP resources. This includes IBTC students. Traditionally, if you look at BA2 and P1, these are known as very tricky subjects, as you can see. However, our students perform 20% better on BA2 and P1 than the global average. You can see why we consider ourselves to be the case study experts. We get a whopping 92% pass rate at strategic level and a 10 to 30% better result on the global average.
You know, Pilisa, the truth is that you are 48% more likely to pass with BPP and IBTC.
Wow, I didn't know that, Nikki.
Yes. Tell me, is CIMA for everyone, Pilisa?
So, you know, Nikki, often students are wondering if they should, you know, after varsity, they should do their honors, you know, what to do next. Should I do CIMA? Should I do CICA? Think for example, they want to be sure that CIMA is the right career choice for them. The truth is that CIMA isn't for everybody, right? CIMA combines business and finance. It's almost like having an MBA and CICA rolled into one. Generally, the rule I follow is that if you like tax and auditing, then CIMA is not for you. If you enjoy business, performance, looking at costs, then it could be the right course for you. A large part of financial accounting is about looking back, dealing with transactions that have occurred in the past, whereas on the other side, management accounting is about looking forward, right? Dealing with budgets, focus, pricing, risk, and obviously strategy.
It's like Donald said, another reason to study CIMA is also that it's a professional qualification. You get a designation, CGMA, behind your name versus an academic qualification. With an academic qualification, you're maybe awarded a diploma or a degree, but with a professional qualification, you're awarded a designation. And I feel that a designation or a professional qualification offers you more opportunities and better value for money spent on studying.
Also, CIMA is a respected and well-known qualification across the globe. You can basically work around the world or right here for a global company like Amazon, for example. It's a very portable qualification. In fact, 95% of the world's top brands employ CGMAs. This means that you are immensely employable. Also, CIMA is a respected and well-known qualification, as I said. So basically, the opportunities are quite endless for you.
I don't have the competency framework displayed, but if anybody knows what the competency framework looks like, you can see the CIMA qualification is made up of various, is built on the premise that there's people skills, there's business skills, there's digital skills, and there's leadership skills. And the competency framework is the foundation for your coursework and for your exam, which is, of course, handy to know. And
Nikki?
it is... Yes.
Yeah. Just to sum it all up, right? Why I like CIMA is that CIMA is where business meets finance. It's a finance qualification and it's a business qualification, like a CA with an MBA, which means that you're competent in a lot of areas and you can play a multitude of roles. For example, if you go on to the next slide, you'll see a good example. Yeah. So here's a good example, for example, saying these are all the roles that you can play as a CGMA. You can play in the C-suite roles, but also non-financial roles, even marketing, for example, strategic planning. And you can see finance roles from being a finance analyst to a finance controller. And then, of course, there's the consulting roles.
Yes, my previous boss in my previous life was a CGMA, and he started in the organization where we worked as an accountant, and then he became the management accountant, and then he became the CFO. Actually became the management accountant, and then he took over operations. I think the lady left, and then he took it under his wings. No, I'll look after operations as well. And then he moved over to the marketing department. And then he headed from marketing, he went to the new business side, new business acquisitions. And then when he returned, and then that took him into Africa, and then he returned to South Africa as the CEO. And that was a full journey, actually probably in 10 years' time, and all on the back of the CGMA designation.
Oh, wow. That's impressive, Nikki.
Mm.
Yeah. And then obviously there's a salary, I think, of course. CIMA's annual salary survey reveals that on average, CGMAs in South Africa tend to earn 400 and 800, on average 484,000 per month or per annum in terms of obviously look at salaries. I know that some students in my E2 class who are earning 35,000 Rand per month and they aren't even qualified yet. Obviously, if you look at it from a British point of view, you could earn up to 63,000 pounds a year, which is roughly about 1.2 million Rands. And this is according to a real CIMA survey recently conducted.
Wow, okay, that's a lot. Did you know, Pilisa, that the average basic salary for a CIMA student in South Africa is 13% higher than the national average salary for a similar position? And I can't remember what the percentage was, but they also get on average higher bonuses. It's December time, yes, so that's quite interesting. Let's take a closer look at the CIMA syllabus. The entry route, let me just see if I can get my draw thingy. The entry route to the qualification is an open entry certificate level. So if you have no previous qualification and no experience, and everybody starts at the certificate level, the professional qualification sits over here. This is the professional qualification. You can see there's the enterprise pillar, which is the business pillar. There's the performance pillar, which is the heart of the qualification. And then there's the finance pillar. I think I'm going to also just switch my camera off, then it's not so disturbing. Okay. So you see there's also 3 levels. So it's quite clever. I think at every level you can see when we say business meet finance, there's 1 E or enterprise or business subject, there's 1 P or performance subject, and there's 1 F or finance subject. The enterprise pillar, which are all the E subject, looks at things like business models, management of people and projects, and it's where the strategy is formulated for the company. On the performance pillar, here you will use your management accounting and risk management skills to ensure that the strategy that has been developed in the E pillar is realistic. And this is also where you monitor the implementation of the strategy. And in this pillar, we deal with things like costs, budget, pricing, capital expenditure, managing costs, managing performance. Here you'll develop the skill to progressively identify. It all ends in risk, as you can see, a very important component nowadays. So in this pillar, you learn to identify risk, then you classify the risk, you evaluate the risk, and then you figure out how to manage that risk. And then we get to the finance pillar or the F pillar, and here we focus on the financial accounting and reporting obligations of the organization. It includes things like regulatory framework and external reporting requirements. You learn the ability to construct and evaluate complex financial statements to show the financial position and the performance of the organization. And here you also deal with business tax and the tax implication of financing decisions. Here you assess the risk that's been identified in the performance pillar. Pilisa, maybe you can very briefly talk us through each of the subjects just so that we can see what we can expect at each level.
Yes, Nikki. So if we start right at the bottom, we'll start with BA1. So at BA1, you'll be dealing with basically macro and microeconomics. If we move on to BA2, that's where you get introduction to costing, planning, and how how to basically control costs. This is really the introduction to the management accounting space. You do product, project, and process costing. If we move on to BA3, this is where you deal with standard recording of financial transactions. So your basic preparation of accounts, including financial statements. Yeah, it is assumed that you have very limited financial background. On BA4, probably most people's favorites, that's where you administration, so things like CSI and thinking about legal impacts on business transactions and what businesses do. It's really about how companies are administered. Once you pass all three subjects, you get basically awarded a certificate in business accounting. In South African terminology, that would be an NQF level 5. If we move up to the professional level, yeah, we got E1, which covers topics like big data, shared services, traditional business functions, so looking at sales, marketing, and obviously the most important one, which is introduction to digital technology. From a P1 point of view, you're getting a little bit into the crux of things now, where you deal with costing in manufacturing. So you talk about marginal costing, absorption costing, budgets, pricing, and break-even analysis. Like we said earlier on, this tends to be one of the most challenging subjects. From an F1 point of view, that's where you deal with cash flows, inventory, basic accounting standards, deal with payables, receivables, tax, and obviously I'm kind of working on preparing of financial statements. Once you pass all three subjects, you then allowed into the CIMA operational case study, which we'll talk about a little later as well. Once you pass your case study, then you get awarded your CIMA diploma in management accounting. You can start using those letters at the end of your name. If we move on to the management level, you almost there now. This is like just before you get to the final level. Here you'll have subjects like E2, P2, and F2. So from an E2 point of view, you're again just expanding your knowledge from E1, focusing on business model, introduction of project management, dealing with how to manage people, looking at things like health and safety, looking at things like conflict resolution and negotiation strategies. From a P2 point of view, you're again expanding from your P1 knowledge, further enhancing your understanding of dealing with costs, introduction of topics like just-in-time, how to manage key performance indicators, things like profitability, liquidity, and return on investment, and again, improving on your risk management skills and cost control. In F2, you'll deal with group accounts, again, something that students tend to struggle with a bit. So again, application of your international accounting standards, or your IFRSs, as we all call them, as well as obviously dealing with integrated reporting overall. Once you pass all three subjects, you'll be allowed into the managerial case study exam, which we'll also talk about a bit later. Once you pass the managerial case study exam, you're then awarded with the CIMA Advanced Diploma. Again, letters you can use at the end of your name, but you also get the physical certificate like you would in all the levels. At the highest level, which is basically the strategic level, here you're starting to think like somebody at the C-suite level. So again, talking about roles such as CFO and CIO and that kind of stuff. So here you've got E3, P3, and F3 as well. If we look at E3, you'll be looking at models, right? So modeling is what you're going to be doing here quite a lot. Things like the Pastel model, how to analyze political regimes and what's happening from environment, technology, and so forth. Then you got, you use models such as SWOT, product mix strategies, and purpose, vision, mission, and that kind of stuff. From a P3 point of view, this is where you're focusing on risk. Obviously, with all the corporate scandals that one has seen, things like risk mapping, risk control, cyber risk, strategic risk, reputational risks, so some of the things that you're going to talk about there. If you look at F3, then you're starting to look at how do you actually fund a business, right? The combination of debt and equity and other sources of finance. So you're talking about business consolidations, mergers, and acquisitions. Once you pass all three of those subjects as well, you then are allowed into the final case study, which is technically the final exam in your CIMA journey, which will be the strategic case study exam. Once you pass that exam, you need to then go through a process of recognition of your experience. Once your experience has then been recognized, you will probably be, you'll pass obviously, and you'll be allowed to use the designation CGMA or ACMA as part of your your designation, and you also get awarded a certificate, right, to become a CIMA associate. Yeah, over to you, Nikki.
Awesome. Thanks, Pilisa. I always like the section where you say in E2 you deal with negotiation skills or negotiation strategies. And I think this is truly a well-rounded qualification if you even learn how to negotiate better, and it's not just such a finance focus. So I really like that. Okay, so that's then everything around the CIMA qualification. So where do you start? So as you may know now that there are two routes. There's the standard route, which we've had for a while. It's called the PQ route, and there's the FLP route. So the PQ route, or the traditional route, PQ stands for professional qualification. It's just the name of the route now. The professional qualification route is the original route. It's flexible. You study at your own pace. You've got 9 objective test exams. It's a subject exams. We call it OTs. We talk about OT, it's an subject. And 3 case study exams, Ops, Man, and Strat. The FLP route is a subscription model, which requires you to work through the subject content, your EP and F, for your 9 OT subjects, but you only have to write 3 case study exams. Okay, so I'll start explaining just quickly the professional qualification route, the one you'll probably be most familiar with. As I said, at this route, you start at the certificate level. You have 4 exams to do, 1 for each subject. These are exams on demand. They are OT exams or objective test exams. I just refer to them as multiple choice exams, but it's not technically, it's an objective test exam. Okay, each level you do 4 exams. At the professional level, you do 3 OT exams plus 1 case study exam. These are on demand. You can do them at any time, and your case study exams are in sitting, are conducted in a sitting. There's specific times to do it. The case study exam draws on your knowledge of the OT subject. So this becomes a very important element, which we will come back to later. While I'm here, operational case study exams are conducted in November, then they're conducted in February, then they're in May, and then again in August, just so that you know, while these you can do on demand, you can do them at any time. Okay, let me just quickly clear all the drawings. The exemptions. The exemptions is a very tricky area. You can get exemptions because of existing qualification. You can get exemptions because of membership, or you can get exemption because of experience, because of your experience. Okay, so I'm first going to look at the qualification. If you have an existing finance, if you've got no qualification, you open entry start at certificate level. If you have an existing finance qualification, you can apply for exemptions. For instance, if you have an ICB finance qualification, you will be exempted from the whole certificate level, and you start at E, P, and F. Okay, this is with ICB. If you've got an MBA, or a lot of students have a diploma in accountancy from UJ, then you start here at operations. I'm going to write UJ and an MBA. Then you start at the operations case study. If you have a BCom, BComt, BTech, or a bachelor's in finance, you get exempted from the whole ops level, and you start with E2, P2, and F2. If you have a BCom honors or a postgrad qualification in finance, you also get exempted from this, and you start at the management case study. Okay, that's using your qualification for exemption. If you use qualification, membership, and experience. If you use your membership, then CIPA members may apply for the gateway route. The gateway route is just an old name to say you can start at management levels, a management gateway, if you're a CIPA member. If you're a SICA member, you start at strategic case study. For this, you need to apply directly with CIMA, and it's referred to as the CA Pathway Program. CIBA members, there's a special arrangement between CIMA and CIBA members are exempted their exemptions are evaluated by CIMA on a case-by-case basis. So you can start maybe at the OT level or at a case study level. Okay, so next we will look at, rather just erase this, no, let's do this. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to say is if experience, how do you apply for exemptions with experience? Well, we know that's called RPL, recognition of prior learning. Okay, here you approach CIMA to recognize your years of experience, not your qualification, to be awarded exemptions. And request for RPL and for the CICA and CIBA exemption should be made to CIMA. Everybody else can go ahead and register themselves on the CIMA Global website and just get started. You don't have to go through CIMA. Okay. 10 years, if you have 10 years or more strategic or executive finance business experience, you can go to the CFO executive pathway, CFO pathway, and you only do the strategic case study. So this is called the CFO pathway. If you've got 7 years and more senior management experience, you can do the CSEP pathway. What is that? You do management case study and strategic case study. You do these two. Okay, it's called CSEP. If you've got 5 years and, okay, so this was 7. If you've got 5 years and more management experience, you can start at management case study. If you've got 6 years and more finance and accounting experience, no management experience, you start at operations case study. Okay, cool. How to register with CIMA, we will touch on that a little bit later. And study options, as mentioned, you can study on your own or with a college. CIMA actually recommends that you sign up with a tuition provider, as it will cut down on your study time and it increases your chance of passing first time. And in the end, it costs you less because having to rewrite costs a whole lot of money. Okay, so this is the PQ route. So now we're going to discuss the second route, the alternative route, which is the FLP route. It's a new route recently introduced by CIMA, not that recently. I think we've maybe had it for the whole year. South Africa was one of the first countries where it was introduced. Important to know is that you cannot sign up for FLP directly with CIMA. In South Africa, there's legislation against it. You cannot be the policeman and the thief. No, you can't be the player and the referee. So you have to come through a tuition provider to sign up for FLP. The most prominent feature of FLP is, let me get my drawing tools. You only have to do, oh, I don't know where the rest of the slide has gone, your case studies. Okay, pretend there's still management case study, the strategic case study over here. You don't have to write your OT exams. Okay. You only write exams for your case studies. Okay, that's the one key feature. Only 3 exams. I like to say you are 3 exams away from becoming a CGMA. The other key feature is that you cannot study on your own using your textbooks or doing your own thing or coming to classes and do your own thing. You have to sign up with a tuition provider, and then you have to complete these OT assessments, continuous assessment on a CIMA platform. Okay, so just to be very clear, for professional qualification, you can study on your own, you can get books, you can go to any tuition provider, you can study any method, and you go and sit a CIMA exam. Okay, on demand, as I said, or the sitting-based case study. For FLP, you have to go to the sign up with the tuition provider. You can't study it on your own. You have to buy a login to a CIMA portal. On this portal, you have to work through your E, P, and F material and do questions while you are studying to prove your competence. No exam, but you have to read through the material and complete these questions. And when you are done, you go sit the same case study exam as the PQ students. Okay. Entry routes. You enter at operations level if you've got a bachelor's in business or if you have an IFAC certificate. So, okay, so you will start, sorry, I'm lying, you start here. On FLP, you will never start at, why is this eraser not working? You will never start at a case study. You will always have to go through the E material, the B material, the F material, and then you can prepare for your case study and set your case study. So, okay. With a bachelor's in business or an IFAC certificate, you start at operations level. With bachelor's in finance or accounting, if you're a CIPA member or you have an IFAC diploma, you start at management level. And if you are CICA member or an ACCA member, you start at strategic level. I do apologize, this is missing from my slide. Existing CIMA students can transition to FLP on a like-for-like basis. What does that mean? It means if you're halfway and you've completed your ops level and you've completed your OT for E2 and you want to transition, when you get to that platform, it will show that you have finished all of this and you simply carry on where you left off. Okay. Registration, how to register for this, we'll touch on that a little bit later. And in terms of study options, we said earlier that you cannot study on your own using textbooks anymore. You have to sign up with a tuition provider and then complete your OT assessments on the CIMA platform. On this portal, you will get all your study material, and interspersed in your study material are activities and questions, which now replaces the formal EP and F exam. By doing these activities and the questions, you're demonstrating your competency. And once you've demonstrated all the required competencies at the E, P, and F pillar, you can then start your exam prep, which is also on the portal, and then enter for the exam. You cannot enter for the exam if you haven't finished all your EP and F activities. You will write the same case study exam as the PQ students.
Nikki, a word of warning on exemption, right? So if you've been exempted from a subject, right? So let's say you, whether it's at certificate level or any level really, CIMA assumes that your knowledge is good enough to pass, that you've passed the subject and that you understand the content and the way that CIMA has presented it. So before you accept all your exemptions, our advice is to go through the syllabus document, highlight areas that you don't feel comfortable with. If it is between 40 and 50% that you're not comfortable with, our suggestion is that you don't take the exemptions, rather spend sufficient time recapping the subjects. Also, your case study exam requires thorough knowledge of the P, the E, and the F pillar, as we've explained earlier. Make sure that there are no knowledge gaps in these areas. We recommend that you recap these subjects before starting your case study preparation. Our gateway courses are designed for students who are exempted from P, E, and F pillar. We include PE and F pillar or textbooks, obviously, to try and help you with this.
Okay, so yeah, that's true. So if you're exempted and you can start at the case study, there's a gateway program, a course that you can buy from us, which then includes the books for these, because your first thing you have to do is first go for your EP and F material, because you cannot, and I don't think you can. Hey, Pilisa, can you pass your case? Is it likely? Is it normal to pass your case study exam if you don't have sufficient EP and F knowledge?
Highly unlikely, Nikki.
I also think so, hey? I know it to be true, let me say that. Okay, so just on the registration routes for PQ, all first-time students must register with CIMA online and pay a once-off registration fee. CIMA will give you a contact ID, and once you've made payment, you can apply for exemptions if you want to. And once registered, you will have access to your online profile called My CIMA. If you wish to apply for exemption, you can email your transcripts and your qualification certificates to document@cimaglobal.com, and CIMA will start the exemption evaluation only once you've paid your registration fees.
That sounds really technical, Nikki.
I know these exemptions really trip up a lot of people. It's an area where the students struggle a lot, but you can simply also just make use of IBTC's CIMA Assist service. You just mail us and say, I need help with my registration, with my exemptions, and we can do it all for you. I don't know if Robert's on this here today, but he is the person that's heading up our CIMA Assist service. So just mail us and ask us for help, and we will sort all of that out for you.
How
There's
does
also,
FLP work, Nikki?
how does FLP work? Okay.
How does it work with FLP in terms of
Registration.
Yeah.
Pilisa, they've streamlined the registration and exemption process, luckily, and they've done so significantly with FLP. So you simply make contact with a good tuition provider, and then we'll sign you up for FLP, and then we will help you with your exemption. So we will determine your entry route. Vanessa is on this call, is actually, I think, the South African expert on it. I do believe, because we were the first to launch it, and we have to figure it out together with CIMA, and now we've got such good information about exactly where you need to start. So we will tell you, do you need to start at the ops level, man level, or strat level, and you don't need to submit any documents upfront to us. We will know exactly how to get you started on FLP. Pilisa, what do you prefer, the traditional route or the new FLP route as a lecturer?
Well, what I really like, Nikki, about the FLP is that there are fewer exams. It does look like you'll be qualified faster. But what I like about the traditional route is that there's more rigor. You're doing this qualification to pick up skills, to learn more and work better. With the PQ route, I believe you learn more and your work performance will be better.
And with each route, there is a pressure point. I think with FLP, the pressure point is at the case study exam, because of the risk of not being as familiar with the OT subject as you need to be.
And with the traditional, or the PQ route as we call it, the case study exam should be a lot easier for you. But the pressure points are obviously that you have to take the objective test exams, which you have to pass first.
It's a personal decision which route is best for you, right?
Yeah, that's right, Nikki. And a financial decision, of course. PQ is a bit lighter on your pocket.
I see. No, that's right. It is a bit lighter on the pocket. Also because you can take it piecemeal.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's look at how you can study with IBTC. We offer both PQ and FLP tuition. We offer the standard classes, they're virtual classes, very similar to what you are doing now. We offer online courses. We offer home study, 2 variants of home study and home study plus. As I said, we use global and industry experts. It's important that your lecturer is an industry expert, because he or she brings that into the class. You don't want somebody who's just lecturing full time. We have a record pass rates sustainably. And we, as I mentioned, we have the global connections with PPP, and we are the longest standing CIMA quality partner. And why does that matter? Is because we have the most expertise. We've been at it the longest. So what you need to know about studying with IBTC is that everybody gets hard copy study material. Everybody gets progress tests, and everybody gets mock exams. It's permission to play. If you want to offer a course, it's a minimum one should give. And everybody gets pre-recorded lectures. So these lectures are recordings of the UK's best lecturers. So because of our link with PPP, we get access to their classes. They record their lecturers. They pick the lecturer who gets consistently high pass rate, and they record that lecturer, 100% syllabus coverage. And then we get access to that recording. So if you come to our class, or you do a home study plus, or you do our online course, you get to view those recordings. There are full-length recordings, and there are shorter revision classes. So if you're in a class with Pilisa, you get all that local input, and you've got somebody who really cares and is involved in your studies, and then you can go home and you can also watch that recording. Hey, Pilisa?
Yeah, and if you attend the virtual classes, you'll be in class once a week with your lecturer for about 10 to 12 weeks. But apart from attending those classes, you can also watch the recorded lectures, as Nikki has alluded to, on the same topic. So basically, that's 2 classes for the price of 1, I'd say.
Yes. So for home study, we used to 20 years ago, just send books and a study plan and give you a tutor for assistance. But we thought, what can we have these videos, what can we just make them available to our home study students too, so that you can also benefit from those BPP video lectures. So we've included the video lecture package with our home study course, and we called it Home Study Plus.
So what is online courses then, Nikki?
The online course, you'll still get study material delivered to your door, because we know you like to highlight and underline, and you get access to online tests and the video lectures. It's very similar. You still get access to all of that. The difference is that you're on a schedule and you're part of a cohort. Okay, so there's a fixed start date. It's a date that the lecturer joins that cohort, that online class. There's a cohort of classmates and a tutor who's responsible for the pass rate of that cohort, of that class. You have to follow a fast-paced schedule, and you will be exam ready in 8 to 10 weeks, guaranteed. You just follow the steps, and if you fail, then you can come back for free.
This is actually true for all of our products.
That you can come back for free. Yes,
Yep.
that's right. That is right. We are so sure that you will pass first time if you follow our formula, which we've worked on for a very long time, that you can come back for free if you don't pass first time. I hope this clarifies how our different PQ courses work.
Yes, it does, Nikki. It actually is a nice way of explaining it.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so when you do FLP, what do you do? FLP is a little bit easier. You get access to one CIMA platform. I say pretend there's a room, and in that room you find all the study material for all the levels, including for all the OTs and the case study. All your prep material is there. You simply have to buy a key to that room, which is your subscription. So you buy time in that room. On that platform, you find all the material for your OTs. You simply have to work through the subject content and do all the competency questions as quickly as possible to unlock the next case study exam. You can work through all the levels, Opsman and Strat, in as little as a year, but many of our students do it in 2 years. So as I said, on the platform, you will find, or in that room, you will find all the study material and questions for all the OT subjects and the case studies. You have access to all the learning material across all the competency areas with hundreds of skills on the study platform. You've got access to all business simulation assignments that deals with the case study, and you've got mock exam. What's also in that room or on that platform included in this package is 6 exam tokens and all your, okay, so that's all your exam fee and all your registration and exemption fees. Okay, the 6 exam tokens is that you have 2 tokens to write your operations case study, 2 tokens to write your management case study, and 2 tokens to write your strategic case study. Okay, then people on this FLP route, they loved it, it's fantastic, but they still missed coming to our case study classes, because our case study classes are just brilliant. So what they did is they said, can I buy FLP? Can you create a package for me that includes me being able to come to your case study prep classes? So we have created FLP Premium, which gives you 6 case study exam prep courses. So you can come to Ops case study, if you exam prep course, and if you fail, you can come to that class again. 1 for man, 2 for man, 2 for strat. Okay. For next year, we are introducing FLP Premium Plus. Okay, so what is that? Students have been saying on the FLP platform, there's everything I must learn, but there are no videos, there are no recorded lectures, and we love those BPP recorded lectures. Can I buy that as well? So we've got a platform where you can come to our classes, which is premium, and now we've got a platform where you can come to our classes for case study, and you can view all the recorded videos, the BPP recorded videos for the OT subjects. And that from next year will be available, and it's called Premium Plus. Okay, great. I know it's been a long presentation. Let me see what the time is. But this next section is about how to plan your studies. And it's actually the part that students find the most helpful. So I just want to quickly take you through this. Okay, so I'm going to start with FLP. And this is just illustrative. So what you do with FLP, you buy a 1, 2, or 3 year subscription to this platform. And I'll illustrate how this works. We are in November now. If you sign up now, then roughly there's so much information. I can't actually give it all in this presentation. But when you do on the PQ route, if you study EP and F, it's recommended that you spend around 150 hours. We say about 120 to 130 hours per subject studying. On the FLP route, they say it's about 75 hours. So 75 hours, I worked it out. If you study like I did and you do 3 nights a week for 2.5 hours an evening, then you could easily get through 1 OT subject in a month. So you do E, P, and F, and you will be ready. You come to our case study classes, and you will be ready to write your February case study, let's say, for operations case study. This is November, December, January, February. Okay. Then you do E2, P2, F2, and you are ready to set your May case study, your management case study. You do E, P, F, and you're ready to write your strategic case study. And this was, I think, last that I counted, I thought it was 9 months. And you could be finished. So this is a way of doing it. Not all of us are fun to work over December. Others might have a lot of time to work over December, and then you can do it. But another way to illustrate it, this isn't a full 2 years. If I had a full 2 years, I could show you how it plays out. But this is enough to illustrate what I mean. So you could buy now and then activate it in January. So you can say, I'm going to start studying in January, and I'm going to spend yay many months on E, P, and F. I also have February when I have got year end. I don't have that much time. So give me a little bit more time. And then I'm going to come to IBTC's case study classes over here. And then I can write my operations case study over here. Then I'm going to take a little bit of a break. And then I do E, P, and F. I'm going to take all this time to do E, P, and F. And I'm going to do my management case study. And this is 1 year. So we say you can do 2 levels in a year. A lot of our students buy the 2-year package because if you can do 2 levels in a year, you can do 3 levels in a year and a half. So you've got 6 months to spare. Okay, I hope this clarifies a little bit. If you sign up with IBTC, you also get 5 extra weeks free on your subscription. Isn't that something? There are good times and better times to get started. 1 December is a very good start date because your subscription, if you take a 1 year or a 2 year subscription, your subscription will still include the November exam. So the last thing you want to do is to buy a year subscription. You study, you get here, and your subscription ends, and you say, but actually there was a Feb exam here which I still wanted to do, but my subscription ended. Or there was a November exam. You never want your subscription to end right before an exam sitting. So we've put together ideal start times. An ideal start time would be November or end of February. Would be 1 December or end of February. Ideal start times. Okay, hope that makes some sense. Let me see. Can I complete 2 levels in 1 year? Yes, I just explained how to do that. Can I do more than 1 level and case study per year on the FLP program? Yes. With an active subscription to the CGMA FLP, you can progress as fast as you are able to for the duration of your subscription. The subscription does not prevent or restrict progression. But an example is, if you have just finished your February case study, if you're doing the PQ route, you will have to wait for your results before you can decide if you now can start classes for E2 and P2, for instance. But on the subscription model, you've done your February case study. While you're waiting for your results, you're in that room. Best you make the most of it. You can almost immediately start studying or start working through your E2, P2, F2 and start ticking off those competencies. Okay. Now, I want to just quickly explain, if you are on a PQ route and you come to our classes, guys, there's various and assorted reasons why we do PQ and FLP. PQ route, you can buy it piecemeal, you do 1 or 2 subjects at a time. You don't have that rush to, you're on a subscription, you almost now work through it as fast as possible. So this suits a lot of people as well. And as we said, there's a little bit more rigor in it, in my opinion. Okay. In this example, John has taken 2 subjects, E2 and P2, and he's attending classes on a Saturday. But in real life, his E1 class could have been on a Monday and his P1 class could have been on a Thursday. Okay, so what we do is, I always say never walk into a class cold. So, and this is a key trick for you to study less and score higher, is the day before, in your study session, before you come to your first class or before you come to any class, just page through the material. You don't have to study it. You just want to see what it is about, because that knowledge means when you walk into the class, you don't walk in cold, and then you can absorb a lot more, which means you'll remember a lot more. So you spend 2.5 hours going through the material in your first study session at home. You come to class, you have a 2.5-hour class with Pilisa, and then you go and you now go and study everything that Pilisa taught you. And in your next class, you prep again for your second class, you come to class with Pilisa, and you do this for 10 to 12 weeks, and you will be exam ready. So you've spent 90 hours on that subject. Some subjects like P1 takes a little bit more time. It's a little bit heavier subject. If you like, it's not necessarily harder, but it is, the book is just fatter. So you'll come to class, maybe you squeeze in another 2 hours on a Sunday. But again, you prep, you don't want to walk into class cold, don't study, just page through the book, come to class, consolidate what Pilisa has taught you, prep, come to class. And then this is how, this drawing is really to illustrate that we don't recommend for the newbies. We always say it's a rookie mistake. We have people at IBTC, because we care, who catches bookings, people who purchase more than and plan to study more than 2 subjects at once. And we say, are you sure you want to do it? Just because you did it at varsity, CIMA has different qualification. And this is to illustrate, where are you going to fit in a 3rd subject? Okay, so in here, we do nothing on a Friday. Friday's off. Maybe you only spend 2 hours on a Sunday and you ratchet it up closer to the exam. You can see that it's tricky to do 3 subjects at the same time, especially if you're working a 9-to-5 job. And I'm not saying it can't be done. Many students have successfully studied 3 subjects at once. It's just knowing what you're in for and being able to make the commitment. Lisa, do you want to chat us through how to prep for the case study exam?
Yeah, so if we look at how to prepare for your case study exam, it really doesn't matter whether you completed your levels through PQ or you follow the FLP route. It all comes together at case study level. So you sit for the same exam, same case pre-seen material, same exam dates, same exam publication dates, everything is exactly the same at case study level. So we say always try to attend the case study exam prep classes with IBTC. So we've got experts in this space, as Nikki has said, and we've got excellent pass rates across all levels. So from a case study point of view, we recommend 100 hours to prepare for your case study exam. This is, of course, dependent on how familiar you are with the E pillar, the P pillar, and the F pillar, and practically depends as well on whether you did an FLP or a PQ route. For gateway students who haven't had any exposure to the E or P or F pillar, they might want to put some more time aside to focus on the content, obviously. But say you've completed E and P and F exams in the last 12 to 8 months, it will obviously come back quite quickly. Then you'll typically spend 100 hours on recapping the theory, the concepts, and preparing for your case study exam. For operational level, you still need to know the content in detail as up to 65% draws on technical ability. And as a lecturer of this, pretty much this exam, I can tell you that much. It really relies on your technical ability. As you move up to management and strategic case study exams, there will be more focus on business skills than technical skills. And one may use a model or part of it to frame your answer around it, without having to refer to the actual model. For example, specific models are required at your lower levels. For your case study exam, there's no new content to learn. So you'll want to revise your E, your P, and F subjects, ensuring that there are no knowledge gaps. Then you look at the pre-scene case study analysis. Read through the pre-scene in quite a bit of detail in preparation for your first class, which will take place, as Nikki is showing you, in week 1 and 2. So for 2 weekends, you come to our exam.
Week 3 and 5.
Sorry, week 3 and 5. So in week 3 and 5, for 2 weekends, you come to our exam prep classes. We then help you here in terms of obviously going through the pre-scene line by line. I do the analysis, we break it down and link it back to the theory, make notes, and obviously draw some planning structures in terms of how to attack your questions in the exam. So we work around models such as SWOT analysis, Mendelow's matrix, and we also do a couple of mock exams, which we mark and provide individualized feedback so that you can actually go back and improve on areas where you need to. And 2 weekends of question practice, filling in any knowledge gaps that you suppose or were identified in class, and doing a final mock exam. This happens obviously between week 4 and week 6. That's basically how we do it.
So, Lisa, I don't know if this is true, but one of the lecturers said to me, at the first class, you are at the first class, we break the student down, but the student is so faced with oh, I don't think my knowledge or I'm just, it's so daunting. So after the first class, you are really faced with all your gaps, your gap knowledge, that in week 4, you'll then go home, you say, oh my head, I must go and fill all these gaps. I now can see how reliant it is on the EP and F. So that's what you use week 4 for. And when you come to the second weekend, then we build you back up again.
Yeah, that is
that
true.
Right? Is it true? Do you break them down?
In actual fact, some naughty lecturers will give you a mock exam on your first day.
Oh man. Okay. Fantastic. And then there's this lovely saying, part of what you learn in the case study exam, prep classes is how to please the examiner, because there's a completely different way of writing for a case study exam than it is what you used to do for your academic exams. So we used to have the previous vice president of CIMA Southern Africa needed to get his CIMA qualification, and he did that with us and attended our case study classes. So through our hand holding, we would phone him all the time. He would say, oh, he never wanted to answer our phone call, but he did, because he didn't study. He took his books with wherever he traveled, but it did remind him, oh, you must get the books tonight. So that worked. And then he was also very verbose, is that the word? He would write a lot. And the key challenge there was to bring it down. How do you, in the CIMA language, say less is more, make it shorter, make it less? How do you make every word count? And we teach you a framework or a formula or a pro forma, how to answer a question that pleases the examiner. And he said when he was in the exam, he was suddenly felt quite overwhelmed and paralyzed. And then in his mind's eye, he remembered the formula that the lecturer wrote on the board, how to answer these questions. And that just sparked it. And then he wrote his answer using that framework or that formula. And obviously that he passed first time. We were so happy about that. We expected it, but the stakes were quite high. So that is a good example, hey, Pilisa, of what you can expect in the case study classes.
Yep.
Oh. Okay, so then it always comes down to finance. I can share the pricing a little bit later. I don't have it on the slide at the moment, but there are 2 ways to finance your studies. well, various ways. You can, for a lot of students, the employer pays for their study, so you can contact IBTC and we will give you a pro forma or a quote that you can take to your employer. If you're paying for yourself, you can make use of the IBTC payment plan. We've got a flexible repayment terms. I believe it is all your CIMA fees are upfront, but then we split the rest over 4 months. So there's a 40% deposit and the balance is paid over 3 or 4 months. And then for larger purposes, or an alternative is to make use of our funding partner, who's called Smart Funder. They top finance provider in the educational space, and with them you can pay off also your third-party fees, and you can pay off over longer than 3 or 4 months. So that is an option. We are working on more payment options. One of them could be a study now, pay much later. But watch this space. We're always trying to make this education more accessible to you. Okay, then just a couple of, are there specials? No, if you buy FLP from IBTC, you get 5 weeks free when you buy our 1 or 2 year package. Then we are expecting a fee increase on all our courses for next year. So it's better to buy in December or November than it is to buy in January. And then I say it with some authority, but I don't have 100% go ahead on it yet. But I do expect that we got word from CIMA that the FLP pricing will increase quite substantially in January. It will not be a price increase, it will be a price correction. So it looks like CIMA got the original FLP pricing wrong and they are now correcting it. So it may or may not be the case. It might not happen and you'll say, why did Nikki say that? I do expect quite a substantial price correction for FLP in the market in January. So just to be upfront with you,